Now that we are through NHL free agent frenzy, there's still a ton of trade rumors going around, even though we've seen a lot of moves. A lot of teams made some big signings and now kind of have to free up cap space or fill out the rest of their roster. So today we're talking about teams like the Vegas Golden Knights, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Montreal Canadiens, and a whole lot more. And that's coming up next. Welcome back here to Top Shelf Hockey. So as I mentioned, we have a lot more NHL trade rumors to discuss. We've had a very busy news cycle here over the past few days. Free agent frenzy was excellent from an entertainment perspective. All kinds of news. We saw some big trades, all kinds of signings. We finally seen an offer sheet. All kinds of stuff going on, and after these teams have made all these moves, there's still more moves that need to be made. A lot of teams are under the cap pressure now. Some teams need to fill out their roster spots, and after making the moves they did, it's kind of, we're looking at what might be next for some of these teams. Now let's jump in first and get started with the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, we've seen them clear some cap space, obviously moving out some players. We saw the last move being Colin Miller be traded. They unfortunately lost Belmar through free agency as well. They did get some other guys signed, like Thomas Nosek and Brandon Peary. It's believed, I don't think it's official yet, but they apparently do have like a 1 year, I think, a verbal agreement in place so far with Derek England to bring him back. But they certainly have more players that still need to be signed. And one of those is Nikita Gusev. It's being reported he's looking for a 2-year deal around $4 million. And at this point, there's just no way Vegas can afford that. They originally signed him to a 1 year entry-level deal, obviously worth much less than that. So Vegas is either going to have to trade him or trade somebody else to get him signed if he's looking for $4 million. If he doesn't get that kind of contract, it's being reported he very well might head back to the KHL. So I guess for Vegas, they have other options. In the forward group, you can look at maybe Cody Eakin or a Ryan Reeves. I really don't think they'd want to trade either of them, but obviously they're not going to trade any of their top guys either. On the back end, they're still Holden, Merrill, guys like that could get a little bit of cap relief out of, but they still don't have a lot of defensemen on the roster right now anyway. They're likely going to have to bring up at least one from the younger group of guys who have been playing in the American League. So we'll see what happens here. Vegas has to make a move, either signing Gusev or trading him or trading somebody else in order to make that happen. So the Vegas Golden Knights are not done wheeling and dealing, not done trading. And other teams might be able to take advantage here again and get themselves a really good deal because they're kind of under the gun here. We saw the return for Colin Miller wasn't overly great. Buffalo got a terrific deal out of that. So we'll see what else we see here out of Vegas. But obviously, Gusev is going to be a player that's in play here one way or another. Next up, let's look at Matt Duchene, who the Nashville Predators signed to a big-time contract, 7 years, $8 million. If you take a look at their depth down the middle now, they've got Ryan Johansson, Kyle Turris, and Nick Bonino already. And then they add Matt Duchene. So now there's even more speculation that Kyle Turris could be moved here. Now that 6-year contract that he signed at $6 million per year still has 5 years left on it, and after the year he had, isn't looking real great, but it is believed Nashville is going to continue trying to shop him. There are apparently some teams in the Eastern Conference that have been showing interest, but they're likely looking for David Poile and the Predators to retain some salary, which is something that he's not fond of doing. I don't believe he's ever actually had to do that. So we'll see what he does. Obviously, even when he moved PK Subban into that $9 million deal, he found a way to move him without doing it. So I guess we will see what happens, but there is a likelihood here that Kyle Turris does find himself traded this summer based on the fact that they have Duchene. They have a lot of centers, and there's just a lot of money tied up in that position, and they could certainly use that to fill out some other areas of the team. Keep your eye on the Predators. They very well might be looking to move Turris here over the summer. Now, the Pittsburgh Penguins certainly made a few moves here during free agency, the biggest one being signing Brandon Tanev to over a $3 million contract on 6 years. Now, as much as he's a good bottom six guy, I really like Brandon Tanev. I think they're going to be happy with him here longer term. The term is a little bit surprising that they gave him so long, but because of that, they probably are looking for more cap flexibility here and could end up finding themselves maybe moving another player to get more flexibility here. They still have some RFAs to sign as well. So it's rumored that maybe a guy like a Brian Rust or a Nick Bukestad possibly could find themselves on the move. Or they may go back to trying to move Jack Johnson. Would not be completely surprising, but after trading Alimata, they may not want to make too many more dents here in their blue line. They do need some guys back there with experience that can play and eat up some bigger minutes. So I guess we'll see, but Johnson's contract is really not the best. If they can move that out, even get another defenseman in return, that could possibly work as well. But it is believed that maybe a player like a Brian Rust might be somebody that they're considering moving for the right price. Of course, they don't have to do that. They could go another direction. Even a guy like Zach Astor-Reese needs a new contract. Maybe he gets moved instead. But that Brandon Tanev contract kind of ties up a lot of cap space here longer term, and it is likely here that they're going to make another move to kind of free up and give themselves more flexibility. Now, we saw the Tampa Bay Lightning sign veteran goaltender Curtis McElhinney to be their new backup goalie to Andrei Vasilevsky. So, unfortunately, that does put Louis Domingue here on the market to be traded, and it is being reported that they're looking to make a move on that as soon as they possibly can. So, obviously, we saw a fair bit of goalie movement amongst the NHL. Obviously, we saw Leonard go to Chicago, Varlamov go to the Islanders. We saw Mike Smith and Cam Talbot go to different places in Alberta. So there's a fair bit of movement within the goalie market here. So now that that's all sorted out, there's certainly going to be some teams out there that didn't quite accomplish what they're looking to do and might look to acquire a guy like a Louis Domingue to kind of satisfy their backup needs. Same goes for the Sharks. They were looking to move Aaron Dell before, and there's still some talk that that's likely something they're still willing to consider. So like I said, there's a bunch of teams out there that made moves goaltending-wise. If there's anybody else out there that never got what they wanted accomplished through free agency, they're now looked to the trade market, and these are two guys within the goalie world here that would be more prime candidates to be moved. Now, of course, as we've seen, the Montreal Canadiens hauled out the old offer sheet here in Sebastian Aho, but they didn't go as high as many people thought they would, and it's already been announced here today that the Carolina Hurricanes will be matching to keep their star player within their organization on a 5-year contract around $8.5 million. But what else will the Habs do? We've seen them clearing out a lot of cap space in the days leading up to free agency, so many of us figured they're up to something. They were having talks with Matt Duchene. That didn't work out for them. Obviously, they tried this offer sheet with Aho, and that's not working out for them. So they still have all kinds of draft picks and all kinds of cap space, which is a great problem to have. But we've also seen a fair bit of other big trades go down here in the last couple of days as well. So it would not be surprising to see Montreal maybe go down the trade route here since the offer sheet didn't work. Or they could possibly consider another offer sheet. That's also a strong possibility here. It was rumored before they decided on offer sheeting Sebastian Aho that they were seriously considering doing one for Braden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm not sure exactly what the reasoning was or how they decided which route to take. My guess is they figured for Braden Point to even have any chance at accepting, they'd have to go to the highest level, over $10.5 million, and be prepared to give up 4 first-round picks. At least that's my guess, and they probably decided that they'd rather go a different route. They obviously thought it had a better chance at landing Aho at a lower amount, less compensation. That they front-loaded the contract with a lot of bonuses, that the Canes would not be able to handle that, and therefore they thought they had an excellent shot at getting the player. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it, but really, many people believe they would have needed to go a fair bit higher here to have really a strong chance of it being successful. But at least it's fair to say that Bergevin's being aggressive and doing what he can to improve his team. So you can't help but wonder what is next for the Montreal Canadiens. If they don't go down the route of another offer sheet, what kind of big trade could they possibly be looking at here? They still could use a left shot defenseman to shore up their back end here. Obviously, they're looking to add another dynamic forward as well. So could they possibly go to the trade market and land some big deals here? We don't have any specific rumors to indicate that they're looking at particular players or teams that they're talking to. But obviously, based on everything that's gone down here, would not be surprised if they're already working on Plan B to make some other sort of big move, big splash to improve their team and really get back into the playoffs here during the 2019-2020 NHL season. So let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Do you see the Habs continuing to make another big move here and continuing to be aggressive and make another big splash? If so, what do you think it could be? Could it be another offer sheet? Or is it likely going to be a big trade? And if so, who do you think they will likely target? That is all your updates on all the latest trade rumors here for today. There's plenty more things that we could see happen within the NHL world. There's all kinds of crazy news going on in the last couple of days. So I fully suspect in the next week or so, they're still going to be quite busy. There should still be plenty of videos to watch. We'll still be posting regularly here throughout the entire offseason. So stay tuned to Top Shelf Hockey. I'll keep you all up to date on all the breaking news and all 31 teams. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.